Hey, this is Kaya.
This is Sam.
This is Chris.
We are Blood Youth. You're listening to Macho Grande podcast.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/Macho Grande. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Alright guys, welcome to Macho Grande, episode 179. I'm Matt.
And I'm Pete.
And we kicked off the show with a brand new track from the Australian band, Inertia. They released a EP late, or actually it was just after the last show we recorded. So yeah, going back to the 11th of July they released this. It's they released it on their Bandcamp, but it's also available via Spotify and iTunes. That EP is called Unlearn, and I just had it on quite a lot over the last week or so. Have you had a chance to check it out?
I've had one listen through. Yeah, 7 songs. It's really good. Yeah, I really like it. I'd never heard of them before, and it's still quite cheap now. So for those of you that missed like the free download, I think it's still only something like $7. So yeah, it's well worth checking out. I really like the front cover as well. Really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you can, like I say, you can get it on iTunes and Spotify, or you can go to their Bandcamp, inertiasydney.bandcamp.com, and you can directly download it from there. But go check them out on Facebook as well. Just search for Inertia Sydney. Really good stuff. And I think I got a hold of like an early EP, and well, it was kind of like an early recording of the track we just played, actually. Going back probably 20
years.
I want to say, no, 2014, 2015. So I've had the name in my head for a while. Like, I really dug that track, and then it just came up like, oh, you know, this is now available, when I looked on iTunes, and then went to their page to check out, and yeah, managed to grab one of the free copies. And yeah, it's really, really good. Like I say, check them out.
So coming up today, we're going to invite a very special guest, Jay, who was at TechFest. So he's going to come along and tell us about some of the best bands of the weekend. We're going to play Boris, which is what I was banging on about last week. And Gideon, we're going to go back and sort of revisit that album, which came out a couple of months ago. And also, coming up next, a band called Helpless, which I'm really excited about.
Oh.
So, listening pile for this week.
Yes.
I've still been listening to that Boris album, which is really good. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out yet.
No, I haven't got it yet. I think you've dropped it to me, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it. Well, actually, I haven't downloaded it yet.
Sleep Token, I gave that a couple of listens, which is... I do really like the sound of that. I mean, it's kind of a shame it's only a couple of tracks. It's like 3 tracks.
Yeah, I was the same. It's like, I wasn't sure about it. And then I've sort of been getting into it a little bit, but it kind of ends before it kind of...
It's right up my street as well, and I've seen it's got several really... Well, it got pasting in Kerrang, but it's had loads of good reviews everywhere else. And yeah. I really like the sound of it, but I kind of thought... for some reason, I'd got it in my head it was an album that was coming out. So when I found out it was only 3 tracks, I was just a little bit like, I want more.
Yeah, and I mean, like, okay, there's like a 7-minute and then sort of 2 5-minute tracks.
Yeah.
But again, by the time each of them get going, it's over. And I kind of felt the same. It was like, oh, I'll check this out, because, like you say, I saw some good reviews, getting a decent bit of buzz, and... it's grown on me, but again, it's just like it's like there's something there, but it doesn't establish itself enough in the sort of 15 minutes you have with it.
The big one for me has been Decapitated, which I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of this, because everybody has just gone mad about it. And they're requesting it at the club as well. Everybody seems to think it's absolutely incredible. I put it on, and I really enjoyed like the raw and the heaviness and the riffing, and I thought, wow, this is really something. And I'll be honest, every subsequent listen, I'm starting to like it less and less, and I'm reaching the point now where I'm thinking, actually, it's just become a bit generic, and I just kind of feel like everyone wants this really good, heavy band, but I just don't think these songs are that strong. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, it's interesting because I didn't think you would. I didn't think you would like it at all, because
I like some of their earlier stuff. I mean, fair play to Decapitated, because songs like, I mean, they've got an absolute all-out for the ages banger in Spheres of Madness. I mean, that is an all-time classic track, and I've liked quite a bit of their stuff over the years. Now, much was said that this was going to be them kind of softening down, so I was expecting it to be softer than it was, and it's still quite brutally heavy. It's just not death metal anymore. That's all.
It's not. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, it isn't death metal anymore.
It's the vocals I don't think do that much. I mean, lots of people are saying Kill the Cult's the best song, but that chorus is a bit...
Yeah, I mean, I've again just sort of been reading the hype, reading like the reviews, even some of the sort of more harsher reviewers that I would normally, trust were raving about it. I think it's fine. I think it's good. I mean, the reason I didn't think you'd like it much is because it does echo. Does have vibes and echoes of like soil work.
Yeah, definitely.
And that kind of thing. And I mean, like, I
just
really
feel
like
like I've heard it all
soil
before.
work.
I really just feel like I've heard it all before, and it just feels a bit like, all right, you've got waves of bands that are as good as Pantera, and then you've got waves of bands that are like pissing razors. And I think if you really try and stand this up next to something big, this is like the pissing razors equivalent.
Yeah, see, I thought it was more. Where is it?
I'm not saying they sound like pissing razors, but do you know what I mean? Like pissing razors compared to Pantera, you know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I saw it more as kind of, like I say, soil work, threat
Chimera.
signal.
It reminded me of in places as well.
Who?
Chimera, but I don't think it's as good.
Yeah,
it's not as good.
I mean,
as Chimera.
I thought, like I say, a bit of threat signal.
Oh, I used to really like Threat Signal. I forgot
And
all about
more
that.
than anything, the one band I thought it sounded like the most was Throwdown.
Oh, right. Now, I wouldn't have picked that, but yeah, okay.
Because it's just got that sort of... It's got that groovy chug.
Yeah, that stompiness as well.
Yeah, that's just sort of relentless. I mean, I didn't like it when it goes into... It kind of goes into slightly drawn out death metal sequences where they're I mean, they'll cut out the vocals completely, and then when the vocals come back in, it's just like, you okay, right? Vocally, you're not doing anything interesting here, and it only highlights the gaps whenever you sort of take the vocals out, because it's like, oh, you're just waiting for it to come back in, and it's like, oh, you could do some really interesting syncopation here, or whatever. And it's just like, oh, and it kind of lets it down a little bit.
I mean, I'm going to stick with it. I do think it's enjoyable to listen to, and partly because the production is so good.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't think it's going to stand up at the end of the year.
The guitars sound fantastic. The drums sound fantastic. I'm a bit... like I say, the bit just sort of like, could do with the vocals doing something a bit more like just, going from a scream to a growl, less guttural. And just mixing it up a bit. But it's all right, it's solid.
And I think that's it for me. That was, but certainly Boris and Decapitated. They were the two kind of biggies this week. Anything else for you?
Well, again, Decapitated. I mean, we just sort of did a mini review, really, there. Anyway, I have sort of gone through what's it called, Antithic.
Oh, I forgot about that. We can't talk about that yet, really.
Well, we can't talk about that, so we'll talk about that some other time.
It's very good, that album. I can't wait to play it, but they released it, and then they've got label news to announce, which we also can't talk about. But it's had to be pulled. But that is something to look forward to. It's very, very good.
Yeah. Obviously, Sleep Token I mentioned. In This Moment's new album, I gave that a run through.
That's not your cup of tea, surely.
No, they're really not the band I liked anymore.
Right, yeah.
Like, I think like the first and second album is where I dropped off after the second album, because everything since has just been, I don't know. They've kind of followed a very interesting sort of trajectory similar to like Cold or like other US bands, where it's like they just go off and be a US only radio metal band. And it's like, you're kind of surprised that they're still going kind of band. That's kind of where this album is. But my highlight of the week so far has been the new 9 Inch Nails EP.
Now I've not heard this at all. So
it is amazing.
Now, how'd you get this? Has he done it as general release? Is it free?
Yeah, just a general release.
Oh, I need to get that.
The EP Ad Violence. It's, I mean, obviously 9 Inch Nails at the moment kind of consists of Trent and...
Atticus.
Yes, Atticus Finch. No.
Ross,
that's the word. Sorry, I was thinking, I didn't mean to jump back to, sorry, that was my childhood seeping back into reality. It's Atticus Ross, and it's got like the echoes of the Partnership they've done from film soundtracks within it, but then it also mixes up kind of classic and, first and second album, Nine Inch Nails kind of vibes.
Did you like the last EP? Because I've not heard that yet either.
The last EP was good, but it was very...
They were on Twin Peaks the other week as well, which is quite weird.
Oh, right, well.
Yeah.
The last album was good, but it was very... How would I say? Like, each track was kind of in opposition of what went before it, so it was purposely uncomfortable. So it didn't really sit... Like, if you listen to a track and just said, right, I'm going to just listen to this one track now, that track is great, then... But as a piece of work, it was purposely kind of awkwardly... Like, the track listing was awkwardly mixed. On purpose, it was all deliberately supposed to be like, that track is different to this track, and that's different to this track, so that it didn't feel cohesive, and it was purposely done that way. Whereas this feels brilliant. Like, it's an EP, and like the last track on it, the background world is amazing.
Cool.
So I'm very, very excited for...
Oh, I'm really looking forward to hearing that now.
Yeah, I'm just really impressed, because it was kind of like, put it on, and, for 5 tracks, it's sort of 25 minutes, just shy of half an hour, and I was amazed at how many times I replayed it over this weekend, and how much it's been growing on me. It's really, really good.
Cool. Anything else?
No. Again, felt obliged to catch up on not having listened to anything on the last show.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get into Helpless. This is taken from their debut album, which is called Debt, which is coming out on the 8th of September via Holy Roar. It says here, 10-song excursion in dissonance, does everything it needs to in the time it takes most bands to open up. This is no drawn-out prog opus, instead a supremely dark, engagingly short, sharp shock to the system. And it's getting really good reviews already, and it's saying, turn on the dime musical dexterity of Breathe or Resist, combined with grindcore, would be a good place to start to describe this band. So they've got a previous EP. Do you know these guys? Have you heard this?
I don't.
And this is pretty brutal stuff, so it sounds pretty cool. So we're going to play, this is the only track available so far off the new album. This is called Ceremony of Innocence. All right, so that was Helpless. Let's get into the news. Obviously, there's been 2 huge, really, really sad news pieces. Obviously, do you want to start with Chester of Linkin Park?
Okay.
Obviously, really sad news that he hung himself, and he seems to have struggled with demons for many, many years, and yeah, just really, really sad news to wake up to. I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, all this is on the back of such kind of bad press with the press. I mean, there's obviously stories floating around a couple of weeks ago about him threatening to punch people if they diss the new album and all that kind of thing. So, but overwhelmingly, the support seems to be huge for him, which is nice. And I've not. I mean, there's been a couple of weird stories about it, and there's been stories about people not acting very nice on the web. I've not seen any of that. My feed's just been dominated by people just sort of sending love, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my feed's been dominated most of all by people. Just the amount of people who are thanking sort of Linkin Park for getting into the music that they're into now. Like, they were the gateway for most people in the last 17 years into, basically for millennials. Anyone born in the 90s, they seem to be the band that were the first album they bought or the first metal record that they bought.
Hybrid Theory kind of was that same size as Black Album in that it had that many singles on constant rotation that it was just everywhere and just dominated both radio and video channels as well.
Yeah.
So it's really, really sad news. So I guess tomorrow night at the club, I'm certainly going to play quite a few Linkin Park tracks, I think.
Yeah, I think that'll go down pretty well as well.
And then the other sad news was Adrenaline Mob. I mean, it's not a band we've really talked about much on the show, but they were involved in a really, really bad accident on their way to a show, which unfortunately resulted in the death of bass player David, I'm going to say his second name wrong, Zabludowski. He was sadly killed. But they were a pretty well-connected band, lots of friends, and they did lots of sort of playing with other people in the industry and stuff. And yeah, a big outpouring for those guys as well. So yeah, really, really bad news.
Wow.
More bad news, Fort Fest got cancelled as well. Now, again, Fort Fest isn't something we've talked about at all, but there are a lot of kind of small, quite weird, eclectic festivals in the UK at the moment, and we're starting to see now the cracks appearing, I think. You know, a couple of years ago we talked about there being maybe too many festivals, you know, for people to spend their money on, and I think we're starting to see it now.
Well, yeah, but you sort of say, on saying that, we'll get into when we have our guest on later in the show, but there's certainly a market for that smaller size. It's the mid-level trying to get into the next sort of size.
Well, have you seen the lineup for just Google Fort Fest? And I mean, I took one look at the poster and I was like, well, it's no wonder. You know, I mean, you have festivals like Tech Fest, which we're going to talk about, or like Arctangent, which very, very carefully go after more or less one genre or associated genres. Whereas the Fort Fest lineup is bonkers. Have you seen it or not?
No.
Just Google Fort Fest 2017. And just tell me what you think about the lineup, because it is weird. And so, I mean, certainly to me, it doesn't seem any surprise. There's good bands on the bill, but when you haven't really got a single headliner to pull, like the 3 headliners were, was it Rollo Tomasi, Top Loader, and Pulled Apart by Horses? Which,
okay.
I mean, that's pretty weird. It's just too big. Like, you don't need 3 days for something like that. It's just crazy. But, you know, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know why it was cancelled. But, well, it was due to poor ticket sales. But, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it. But, I mean, I think you only have to take one look at that lineup and think, well, that's quite odd.
Yeah, I mean, I can't find the poster, but yeah, I mean, does sound
Top Loader.
Does sound like an odd one.
I mean, I thought the same thing of the Amplified Festival this year. I thought that was a bit weird, but there seems to be quite a lot of people on my feed there. So, what do I know?
Yeah.
Right, what else we got? Fred Durst has gone online saying apparently their new album has already been available online for about 1.5 years, if you know where to look.
Yeah, I think that's trolling. He's just...
I think I'm with you on that. I mean,
he was just bored on a plane.
People have tried searching and not found anything, so I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
What else we got? Oh, I like this story. Radiohead on their re-release of OK Computer have done this ZX Spectrum little Easter egg. Did you know about this?
No.
So in the box set of the re-release, there's a cassette, and on the cassette is a track named ZX Spectrum Symphony. It says something about it's listed as OK Computer Program and is the last track on side B. And then people quickly identified the track as sounding like the kind of weird beeps and boops and clicks that the ZX Spectrum used to make when you were loading a game. So people then ripped the audio and fed it into Spectrum emulators, and it produced a code which plays on the screen, which is just cool. I just love little things like that.
Wow.
So it just came up with a little message saying, just talking about the band, just saying inside your home computer are, and then it listed the bands and stuff. But just a weird, geeky little Easter egg. So that was pretty cool.
Well, we do like our Easter eggs.
I think that's it, unless you got anything else.
No, again, pretty much everything has been sort of taken up by our sort of main story of the week.
What do you think Linkin Park are going to do? I mean, obviously they've cancelled all shows.
Everything's cancelled by the looks of it. I mean, they were doing an American tour. They were doing a tour with Linkin.
No, you're right. It was called Blink something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Linkin Park tour. Linkin Park 182 tours cancelled. Understandably.
I mean, I'm assuming they'll probably do some shows like with some guests and stuff as probably a tribute. But after that, and with obviously their weird album, although I say weird album, people are still buying it. But where do you think they're going to go? I mean, do you think they can replace Chester?
No, I would see. I mean, I would be stunned if they did. I mean, if anything, I reckon that they would change the band name. Considering
how far they've moved their sound as well.
Yeah, they probably just change their band name and move on in a different direction, if even at all. I mean, I genuinely, I can't even imagine that they're thinking about it either. But I mean, I'd be stunned if they tried to carry on under the moniker Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I think it would be better. I mean, I can understand that they would want to stay together. I mean, they still have a fan base that would want. So, but I reckon that they'd be best to, continue as something new in honor of or whatever. I can't see them. But you will see.
Yeah. Okay. Releases have been a little bit quiet the last couple of weeks. So I thought for an extra track this week, we'd just delve back slightly and find something that we'd missed. And I've gone for Gideon, because we've talked about Gideon in the past, but I don't think either of us have really spent that much time listening to them. I know certainly for me, their albums have been well reviewed, but have somehow slipped the net for me. Would you say that's fair?
No, wasn't it the last?
I know we talked about the first album quite a lot.
No, I had the last album.
Right, because they're on. This is album number 4 now.
Yeah, right.
So I've definitely missed some stuff, because I do remember quite liking the first album, and then I don't think I've heard the second or third.
Right.
This one's called Cold, and it's coming out on Equal Vision Records. It came out on the 12th of May. So I thought, we'll quickly revisit this. Right, the album also features Jamie Jaster of Hatebreed, and it's also got Brian of Knocked Loose. But Gideon are a weird one, because they're in that kind of metalcore vein that it does tend to slip the net a little bit with me lately.
Right.
So I don't know where you stand on them or how much you listen to them, but
I remember liking the last record that I had. I can't remember what record it is I have of theirs. So I'm really liking. I'm trying to remain as vague as possible.
Fair enough.
Let me just bring it up. It's going back to 2014. Yeah, Calloused is the last record I have.
Right. Okay.
And I thought that was good. But if this is the first thing since then fair enough. But if they've released something in between, then I have missed it completely.
Well, we're going to play a track called Champions, which is the first song off the album. So here you go. So we're just going to welcome, for the first time on the show, Jay, a.k.a. the Yorkshire Riffer, who has sent us in some amazing reviews in the past. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Pete. Hi, Matt. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honour for you to bring me on board. I'm loving it.
The reason we've got Jay on board today is because you attended pretty much all of TechFest. So we thought we'd have a bit of a chat with you about it, and you can give us your review of your favourite bands and that kind of stuff. I'm just cracking open a cold one before we start. There we go.
So yeah, I did. I even did the fabled Thursday the Thursday evening afternoon warm-up, which normally I don't do, which is kind of weird, seeing as I'm actually quite local. It's the first time I did it, but it was pretty good. I think Chelsea Green was a nice sort of end to it. It's a very sort of chilled, it's kind of like the Bloodstock when you get there on the Thursday as well, where it's, that's it. They've still got everything all set up. It is, for all intents and purposes, ready to go, but it's like a half-day lineup, so it's very casual, it's very chilled.
Yeah.
It's a sort of nice way to ease yourself into the festival. Unfortunately, I did get caught down in the downpour, which made it onto a couple of the Tech Metal Facebook groups. Apparently, there was 3 months of rain in 1 hour.
Oh, nice. Cool. Did you catch the Inertia Accord? Because I used to really like them, and I'd kind of forgotten about them.
I only caught like the sort of back end, the last 2 songs. I wouldn't be able to say, yes, I saw the full set. But what I saw, very impressed by.
For those that don't know, TechFest takes place Newark Showground, which is sort of just outside Lincoln. So it is super handy for me and Jay because you're in Lincoln and I'm just outside of it.
Yeah.
And what are they in now? Because they used to be somewhere else, but what are we in now, do you think? About the 5th or 6th year?
It's the 5th or 6th, might even be 7th.
Because they used to be somewhere near Peterborough originally, but for the last, how many years now at Newark? This will be...
It's done, I think it's 3rd or 4th in Newark now.
Yeah, at least.
Which is insane, which is good. I mean, most festivals are in the Midlands when you think about it. But yeah, like you said, Pete, it's very convenient for us. And I work in Newark, so that was why I made the Thursday evening. I went straight after work.
So I kind of dipped my toe in once or twice, but I didn't really see that much of it. So I'll kind of leave it up to you as to, who would you say were the absolute best picks of the weekend? So
I think stand out for me, and you're talking really, it's a really sort of strange jump from one genre to another, which probably doesn't go with, if I make reference to the Tech Metal Facebook pages, a lot of the die-hard TechFest fans didn't like how death metal heavy and deathcore heavy it was. But for me, standout bands for me, Black Dahlia Murder, which me personally, would I class them as technical metal? No, I've always kind of sort of flagged them under, for want of a better word, melodeath. But hey, I still really enjoyed watching them. That's a nice
term. I've not heard that before.
They must have pulled 5-6 tracks from Nocturnal, which was great. But then on the flip side, the polar opposite to Black Dahlia Murder, Tosca, who I only saw sort of not live at TechFest, but about 2 or 3 months earlier, literally going down the old YouTube rabbit hole of watching one video after another, and it's like, oh, who's this? And just, yeah. So, they've only got Ode to the Author, sort of a short 6-7 track EP, very chilled, very mellow if you put them next to, say, to the Black Dahlia, for example, or Chelsea Green. But,
yeah, I mean, heading into math rock territory, aren't you? A bit more.
Yeah, and it's quite mellow in places as well.
Post rock as well.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, they absolutely blew me away. And considering it was sort of 3 PM, the shed that they play in is, they get really hot and sweaty, so your energy levels are really low. So if a band isn't on it, it's all too easy to go, let's go out and get some fresh air. So when a band can sort of hold your attention like that, when it's not something that's really fast and energetic, pretty much implies that there's something special. Textures, anyone who follows me on Facebook, I'll bang on about those all the time. Sort of Phenotype, their album last year was one of my top 10 albums.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, so there's a little bit of bias in there from me.
Well, that was the one I was gutted to miss because they're splitting up soon. So
yeah,
it's
we are sort of I don't want to kind of rub it in, but that was a fantastic headline set. It was great, the sub headline they did last year, but it was brilliant this year. And you saw a crazy mosh pit battle between a T-Rex and a pink flamingo, and you can't really say that at many gigs.
Nice. Cool.
Which bonkers. Drusif Starling, very impressed compared to when he played a couple of years ago. Not saying I didn't enjoy him 2 years ago, because I did, but it was a lot more of his own material. And I found out from one of our mutual friends afterwards, after the set, the sort of the live vocalist wasn't the vocalist who did the vocals on record, but he pretty much did them like for like. He just made them sound identical. So whoever they got as their tour list is pretty tough.
I'm not familiar with them at all. What sort of stuff is it?
He's very genty, but like Drusif Starling, he used to do he would like cover Wrecking Ball, but in a gent style, and that was the thing. So when he played 2 years ago, there was sort of a female vocalist sort of tag along, and they did a lot of sort of poppy, genty, better word, ironic songs, and it was fun, but I felt it was a bit gimmicky. Whereas he pretty much culled everything from his own material from his album that he brought out this year. So I enjoyed the set a lot more 2 years down the line this year than what I did a couple of years ago. So yeah, that was very fun to watch, and he doesn't care about jumping into the crowd, as did most of the bands. To be fair, most of them seem to get joined in with the audience, which is pretty good to see, because most festivals you've got the barrier and the security, and it's very much an us and them vibe, which you most definitely don't get at Tech Fest. There's a couple of AAA areas, but apart from that, you'll see artists camping in tents with punters, and it's quite eye-opening, that, but in a good way. Think of like one more. If I go my top three, if Tosca, Textures, Casa City, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have picked that as your normal cup of tea, but
no, but I think that's it. I think I sort of went in a little bit open-minded, and yeah.
Cool. Well, you've been a big fan of them, Matt, haven't you?
Yeah, their recent album and the album before are brilliant.
Yeah, I still need to listen to that. All right, so there's a couple, I don't know if you caught any of these, but there's a couple that I was just intrigued as to how maybe they went down and what kind of crowd they pulled. And that is Hacktivist.
Massive crowd. And again, sort of, I've got a friend who's probably a bit more into the gent side of things than the death metal side of things, which is probably where I lean to more. And one of their second vocalists apparently has only been in the band for 2 weeks. I certainly would not have known that. And they were like seasoned pros. I would have no idea that one vocalist was only 2 weeks into the gig, as it were. They pulled a crazy big crowd. There were bands that played after Hacktivist that were pulling, I would say, half the size or 2/3 the size of what they pulled. They probably should have been higher up on the billing, in all honesty. Really, really cool. Very different. Yeah, again, I just went to sort of check them out, a bit like Casa City. I didn't know what quite to expect. But yeah, they got a massive crowd, and there was a ton of energy, just very bouncy. And again, I wouldn't really call them that techie in places. They were quite catchy riffs. You didn't really see, you didn't hear any off-time rhythms or anything like that. So I wouldn't call it too crazy technical, but certainly that wasn't, no one in the crowd was bothered about that at all.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did you get a chance to see Ocean's 8 Alaska? They were on Friday.
No.
No, okay, not to worry. Who's the other? I caught Mark Defiled. They were very good.
Yeah.
The new stuff sounded really good as well, really heavy. Oh, on the Sunday, this is a bit of a wild card. In fact, they're quite high up on the bill on the main stage, this Igor. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Because we nearly played them on the last show, and it is bonkers. I mentioned it in my listening pile, but it really is just crazy. Everything from like folk to black metal to weird singing. It was really odd, the album, and I wondered how that would go down live.
See, they seem to pull a good crowd, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it, but I'm going to say, for me, like you said, it seemed like an everything but the kitchen sink approach.
I was just surprised that it was that high up the bill, but
yeah, because I'd never really heard of them, and then I sort of, did some little bit of Googling, and was like, oh, okay, I'm not seeing why they got that high up the bill, but yeah, but I think there must be some sort of buzz, because they pulled a very big crowd, but yeah, first after sort of 2 or 3 songs, it was interesting, and I think if they get a couple of albums under the sleeves, they might be able to sort of hone it into something a bit more cohesive. But for me, it just seemed a bit too, probably like the first time I saw Dillinger, where that kind of like weirded me out, and then it took me, quite a few. So it took me a couple more album releases before I kind of got them. So I think it was a similar sort of scenario with Igor, to be honest.
Cool. Okay. Anybody else that you want to mention?
There's another band, and they're splitting up, and I can't remember who it is for the life of me now. They got a really big crowd. They played on the Sunday, and they're now splitting up, or they will be splitting up this year. Can't remember who it is for the life of me.
Yeah, I don't suppose you managed to catch Borders.
No,
because I would have been interested to watch them as well. So, all in all, how would you say it shaped up to previous years?
Myself personally, I thought it was. I know everyone says like each year, best one yet, but certainly there was a lot more people there. I noticed that as soon as I walked round.
I thought there was a lot more tents straight away. Seemed to be a lot more people camping.
Yeah, you could have missed that. There was at least a third more tents. So that's it. I think the vibe was better. Like I said, there was a little bit of, they've got like a little section of people walking around with these orange, like AAA laminates, which kind of did have the whole, here we've got the corporate vibe was starting to bleed in a little bit. Right. But in a way that was good because it was bigger. They've got, this is going to sound cheesy, but they'd got like a better beer selection. The merch stall just seemed a little bit better organised this time round. But even though they probably pulled fans who probably aren't into Gen and aren't into the more crossover stuff, for want of a better word, you saw some people with, in very much death metal clobber, but everyone all seemed to get on. You didn't really see any sort of cliques or factions. It sounds sort of cheesy and cliche because I used to say it about Bloodstock, where I say, Bloodstock's like a sort of family-friendly festival, and it's got a way relaxed vibe compared to Download, which it does. But then you've got to consider that Techfest is like 1/5, 1/6 the size of Bloodstock. So again, I think it enhances that feeling even more. There's just people who you have no idea who they are from Adam. You'll start a conversation because someone's got a really cool T-shirt on, and it's just a very relaxed vibe. It's not got sort of Sky's grubby mitts all over it yet.
No, I mean, it has got a really cool atmosphere. I like because you've got these two rooms, and then in between you've got like this whole kind of merchant area, which is just really nicely laid out, and it's spacious. There's some good like records tent as well. I spotted the Tool Lateralis vinyl, which I very rarely see. That I was almost tempted to spend 65 quid on. I didn't, but yeah, it's not very often you see that. And then there's a whole other shed where they get really techie because they have proper like guitar and drum companies come down and do demos and that sort of thing. Personally, I don't know whether it's just because I'm local, so I wouldn't mind in the slightest if it did go broader and had bands from other genres, But I don't know how cliquey that fan base is. I mean, do you think they'd be bothered if there was a slightly more couple of commercial bands next year?
Well, it's hard to say. So, I mean, like I say, someone invited me onto an offshoot group, although Simon, the guy who organised it, he posts on there quite frequently. They ran a poll of, which has been the best tech fest so far.
Oh, okay.
And the overwhelming majority voted for 2016, when really there wasn't any sort of death metal or anything like that. It's just very much proggy, genty bands, for a better word, and that was overwhelmingly seen as the better lineup compared to this year's.
Right.
I'm just googling it now to see who's there.
I think
2016. Oh yeah, because you had Animals as leaders doing the Friday. Yeah, Protest the Hero.
So yeah, it was very, very proggy, very genty. And this year you got a lot of death. You've got a lot of deathcore, and there's a lot of people saying, "Look, this is why I didn't buy a ticket. This is why I didn't come." But clearly, money talks, and I'm sure that the people who actually run the festival, clearly, you look at, like you said yourself, you saw how many more tents there were. They must have sold more tickets, and that must have led to them having like the better bar features and things like that. They must have said, well, we've got a guaranteed population of this many people in the area. I think, to be honest, the festival name might paint them into a corner a little bit.
I was going to say, it's fairly niche, isn't it?
It's niche. So yeah, you can say tech is gent, it's stuff like Periphery, it's stuff like Meshuggah. When they get a bit bigger, they'll be able to book those bands as headliners and pull in a large crowd. But he's kind of saying that's all we're going to do is gent or technical death metal. And if you do something that's a bit poppier, a bit that isn't prog, that's just bands that play in 4/4 and aren't sort of fretboard virtuosos, does that mean that they can't play that festival because they're not technical in any way, shape or form? It's pretty limiting if they end up having that as like an unofficial rule. Although I found out to my dismay, I made a little joke about Chester Bennington and I got ripped to shreds. So it certainly seems that a lot of tech metal fans are not opposed to quite simple 4/4 structure pop rap metal. So
Right.
who knows? I can play off me there.
Have you got any bands that you'd like to see play it that you've not seen there?
Oh God, geez.
That you think could do it? I mean, obviously you mentioned with Sugar. I mean, I think that's probably the one that everyone thinks one year.
Yeah, Meshuggah and Periphery probably the ones.
And Periphery not done it?
No, they've not done it. So they're the ones that everyone begs for. I know that I believe that someone from Tesseract is involved.
Yeah. James, his company run the press office there.
Yeah, so a couple of bands that I'd like to see. So I'll get off a couple of death metal-y ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see Cattle Decapitation because they are crazy talented with their instruments. And Black Crown Inertia, I think they're a bit. They're deeper death metal, for want of a better word. But then if I go a bit more, things that are more towards the Tech Fest audience, just being turned on to a band called Sleep Makes Waves. They're awesome. They're from Australia, and they are really, really chill. Very sort of, I think they would go down a storm at Tech Fest. And I love my Spotify that when I'm listening to an album in full, when the album finishes, it'll say, oh, here's some tracks that you'll like. And I've been turned on to a band called Astronoid, who are absolutely fantastic. I was listening to their album again today. I've only sort of been turned on to it literally in the past week. It came out summer last year, but oh my lord. So yeah, they'd be my four: Black Crown Inertia, Cattle Decapitation, Sleep Makes Waves, and Astronoid. I think I would love those four to be booked.
Sweet. Very good.
Oh, and Car Bomb. I'll make it 5.
Oh, Car Bomb, yeah.
Yeah. I think they'd go down a storm at Tech Fest, in all honesty. I think that's a perfect band.
Good call.
It's heavy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, they make no kind of... they wear their love of Meshuggah very firmly on their sleeves, don't they? So
You do.
Okay, well, brilliant. Cheers for that, mate.
No worries.
Awesome.
You got any favourite albums of the year so far you want to give a quick mention?
Favourite albums of the year? Oh, God, I've not got a 10 yet.
That are non-techie, non-death metal, just your personal favourite.
Personal favourite? I think right now, riding high, this is going to obviously sound very Metal Hammer Kerrang-ish, but Mastodon, Emperor Sand. I've given that album a heck of a lot of plays, and I'm really glad they've got Brendan O'Brien back in the producer's chair. After he did Crack the Sky, I think Once More Around the Sun and The Hunter. They're good albums. The Hunter always, to me, felt a bit like a B-side album.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
The ones. Once More Around the Sun, it was good, but just something didn't click for me. But yeah, now that they've got Brendan O'Brien back like he was with them on Crack the Sky, yeah, Emperor Sand is just spot on.
Very good.
Awesome.
Right, well, many thanks again, mate. We'll catch you another time then.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks very much for that awesome review. Hopefully we'll be able to get your opinion on some future festivals as well. It seems as it's pretty hard for Pete and I to make it to everything. It's handy to have someone else on board.
Well, I might be going to, I'm probably going to Cologne in September, October in Germany. And I'm looking at potentially going to that Euroblast festival.
Oh, cool. Nice. Well, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You're very welcome to come on, have a chat about it, or you can send in one of your reviews. It's entirely up to you, mate. Welcome anytime.
Brilliant. I shall try and do that. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
So that was our TechFest 2017 chat. We're going to keep it fairly short and sweet today, and then we're going to have an album in review and mystery box section, and we've got some mail to read out on the next show. So before we close out on Boris, if you want to write into us, it's info@machograndepodcast.co.uk. You can send us a voicemail, which is 05603689842, where you can leave a recording. We can play it on the show. It could be tips for bands, reviews of albums, anything like that.
Yep, and you can add us on Twitter at Macho Grande Pod, and on Facebook, just search for Macho Grande Podcast.
I've got a couple of films this week.
Okay.
I've actually got a couple of oldies. I've got 2 old films. I was going back and I just in the mood for some classic films, and I watched Hitchcock's Vertigo because I'd never seen it.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed it, but I don't know, not as much because I do like Hitchcock, and a couple of his films are in my all-time favourites. But although it ends really well and it started off interestingly, it kind of lost me a bit in the middle.
Right.
Not quite the classic I thought it was going to be, and I certainly don't think it's up there with like The Birds or anything. And then Sorcerer, which I've been wanting to watch since I was a kid. Sorcerer has one of those film posters that just mesmerised me as a kid in the video store, with this really horrible, gnarly looking old Jeep trying to cross this bridge that looks a bit like the bridge from the end of Temple of Doom, like this really horrible thing that you wouldn't want to cross, let alone drive a Jeep over it. And it's a really weird film by William Friedkin, who of course did The Exorcist. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's got Roy Schneider in it. And it's basically these three guys. It starts off a little confusingly because you have these sort of intertwining storylines that basically the result is that these three different guys have to drive these three Jeeps filled with explosives. And in fact, it's very reminiscent of, you know, the scenes in Lost where they're trying to carefully handle the dynamite.
Yeah,
that was definitely pinched off Sorcerer. There's a lot of that, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. Roy Schneider's really good in it, and yeah, that's really cool.
What you're telling me that there's a flaw with Lost?
Let's not go there.
Right.
Let's just not go there.
Uh-huh.
And then recent stuff. I've got two others. Okja, which is on Netflix. Okja, yeah, it's directed by Bong Joon-ho. If I've said that right, I probably haven't. He did The Host, which you talked about, and then I was a massive fan of Snowpiercer.
Right, yeah.
Have you ever seen Snowpiercer?
Yes.
It's really good. It's quite bonkers, and obviously Netflix have spent a fortune on this, and it is really quirky and very odd. It's got a very good message at the heart of it. I lost a little bit of interest towards the end, and I'm not quite sure why everyone's saying they're crying watching it, but maybe I'm just a bit dead inside. But that's really good. So if you've got Netflix, make sure you watch that. And then last one for me is Colossal, which we just got to watch the end, but so far it's absolutely amazing. Really enjoying it.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, let's see. Spider-Man Homecoming.
No, you did that.
Did I? Baby Driver?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I can't remember when or what I talked about in the last episode then. Then I genuinely can't think if I've seen anything since then.
Okay. You're not
The last ones
yet?
I can consciously remember.
Because there's a couple of biggies at the cinema at the moment that I want to say, like Dunkirk and...
Yeah, I'm planning on seeing Dunkirk at some point this week if I get a chance. I want to see it in the IMAX, so it's a case of getting a day to...
I was going to say, where's your nearest IMAX?
Norwich.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, it's just getting out there.
Yeah.
But I'll do that at some point, even if it's sort of next Friday. But I definitely want to see that in the biggest screen possible, given that it's
I wish we had
such amazing reviews.
I think Manchester's the nearest one doing like the actual 70mm print. But,
right.
Yeah, IMAX is definitely the way to go if you're going to go see that film.
Right. Got it for you.
I say that the Sheffield's got the laser one, so I've never seen laser projected IMAX, so
right.
Might try and do that for it maybe.
Yeah, well, you do go to Sheffield quite a lot, so you could just go early.
There's so many different formats to choose from with Dunkirk, which is quite crazy.
Right. Other than that, I'm trying to think. No, I don't think I've seen anything else. Oh no, Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes.
I've heard good things.
It's great. I mean, like, if anyone's not seen this new trilogy, which this sort of is the third film in, you've got Rise of, Dawn of, and War for Planet of the Apes. It's a really underrated trilogy. This is a really good end and third installment to one of the strongest film franchises. Like, for each film has ratcheted up from the last. This is I mean, like, it's hard to, I mean, you don't even think about the fact that it's all motion capture.
Right.
It's just so well done, so seamlessly done. Like, the character arc of Caesar over these three films has been amazing.
Well, I enjoyed the first one. The second one left me a little underwhelmed, but I will definitely watch this to close it out.
Okay, well, yeah, that's right. I remember you.
We differed wildly.
I thought it was one of the best. I mean, because it is incredibly sort of dire isn't the word I want to use. I mean, it's dark, but only because it's like thematically intense, and for a big Hollywood summer blockbuster, it's a lot more intelligent than your average big blockbuster, if that makes any sense. Because there's
that's good. That's cool.
Analogies to sort of other things going on within it, but yeah, really clever, and like the special effects are just something else.
Cool.
And I recommend it.
We are going to close the show out then with Boris. There's no use me really talking about Boris too much because this is their 24th studio album.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. They've been around for about 25 years. As I said on the last show, whenever I've heard bits of them, I've always kind of gone, oh, this is really good, but then just never delved in. I couldn't recommend an album. I don't know those 23 albums, previous to this. But it's called Dear. It came out the other day via Sargent House, and I'm on about my 7th listen now, and it's just growing with every listen. It's quite varied across its tracks, so I've gone for one that kind of encapsulates like a bit of the heaviness. From what I've read, this is a heavier album, more akin to apparently their earlier stuff. Again, I wouldn't know. But it's very, very good. I think you're going to dig this a lot as well, Matt. So, yeah.
Okay, wicked.
Don't know how you pronounce this title. It's written as Absolute Go, as all one word. So I suppose you could read it as Absolute Ego. But I think it's Absolute Go.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, see you next time.
Speak to you later, guys.
Macho Grande?
No, I don't think I'll ever get over Macho Grande.